Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I have a video for you about how I managed to overcome my depression and suicidal thoughts. So let's get straight into it. I was about the age of 15 years old when it started, and it lasted for about 2 years. If you haven't seen my other video about insecurities, I would give that a watch, just because that is where the depression and suicidal thoughts started and came from. So as I've said before, I had like a lot of insecurities to do with my weight mostly, but then also as well to do with like my skin, because I had bad acne and just a lot of small other things that I mentioned in my other video. Getting to that point was actually so difficult for me, because it just becomes a time of someone's life where, you know, you're so young as well, and to deal with everything and the way you're feeling and the negativity, that it just becomes too much for someone. I was having a lot of negative thoughts from before anyway about myself and how I view myself as a person, but those thoughts became a lot more aggressive, and it was more to do with before like my image and how I see myself. So it was like, you're fat, you're ugly, you know, you're worthless. It became more like, why are you even still here? What are you even going to do with your life? You're never going to change. Nothing is going to change. Nothing will help you. And I really didn't know how to avoid those thoughts, and I basically just let it in, let it consume me, and I started agreeing with them. And I was just thinking, you know what? I'm actually 15 years old, like 16 years old. How am I going to get out of this? If this is how things are now and I'm not seeing any way that they're going to change, what is the point of me being here? What is the point of my life being in this way? So those are the kind of thoughts that I started getting, and I just started to basically let them come into my mind and just stay there. I became very withdrawn from any groups of people, from my family, from any friends, from anyone, any motives I didn't want to go to. I would just always want to be in my room by myself, listening to music that was just going to make me even more in my feelings and just make me feel worse. A lot of the time as well, I used to go to the park, and I would sit by myself in the park, and I would have a notebook, and I would just write down everything how I was feeling, literally just vomit onto the page, writing all of my feelings. Sometimes pages upon pages, just kept on going, writing how I felt. Sometimes I did used to write as well, poems and spoken words about how, you know, I used to feel inside. And I remember on one occasion where my family were actually all together, and they were asking like, where's Vikisha, like why isn't she here? And my sister, who knew that I used to go to the park a lot by myself, she was just like, oh, she's at the park. And they were just thinking like, why is she at the park when we're all here and she's by herself as well? So that's how bad things got, where I just didn't even want to be around my own family. I just became so accustomed to everything that I just thought, this is my life and this is how I'm going to deal with it. What more can I do? I don't want to speak to anyone, so I'm just going to have to get used to this. And one day when I was feeling so low and down, I just literally needed to like find some kind of release, and I self-harmed myself for the first time that day. And I used a razor and I literally cut my wrist, and it's like I felt like I had to do it because I needed to be punished. It's like I was punishing myself, because everything that I was feeling, everything that I was going through, I just felt like it was because of me. Like, this is your own fault, like you've put yourself in this position, like you're so stupid. So I kind of felt like I had to suffer for it. So that's why I ended up cutting myself and, you know, starting to go on that whole streak of self-harming. And then after that, it was always wearing, you know, long sleeves, holding like my sleeves down so no one could see, because I didn't want to risk anyone finding out. That was like where I became really low, and that was my lowest moment, to the point where, you know, I just closed everyone out and I didn't want to speak to anyone about anything. I was literally a closed book. When it came to the point of being able to actually kind of change that and overcome it, one of the first things that I had to do was obviously realize that I had an issue, because a lot of people don't realize when they're actually in that position of being depressed or suicidal, they don't realize that it's actually an issue. But because I did realize, that was the first step, which was good that I realized that. It's just that I didn't want to get out of it. I didn't want to take someone's hand and actually get help. But when I did that, it was the best decision that I actually made. So I was invited one time to a youth group where I spoke to someone and I literally like offloaded everything, and that was the first person that I actually told about how I was feeling, what I was going through. And the first thing that I received from that conversation was hope, because it was like a burden had been lifted off my shoulder. Like I just felt so good already, and it gave me hope to know that I was able to change. And the person just encouraged me and really gave me some really good advice that I could use to basically start my journey to change. Don't feel like you have to jump in head first with everything. Things take time. It's just like if you have a person that's addicted to drugs, for example, they have to go to rehab and they have to get clean. They have to go through the process of doing that. So if you are in this position, don't think that, you know, it's going to happen overnight just like that. It doesn't happen like that. You have to keep at it and be consistent. And that is exactly what I had to do. I had to realize that things are going to take time, and I couldn't get frustrated because I didn't see the change straight away, because I was doing things like, for example, having positive thoughts, trying to have positive affirmations every day. And at first it was like, it was hard for me to actually believe the things I was saying, the things that were coming out of my mouth, because I was just like, you're beautiful. No, you're not. And it was just like, I couldn't actually get it out of my head. So at first it was very hard. Yes, it was. Like, did it take time? Yes, it did. But I kept at it, and the more I did, the more I started to see the change. And having regular talks with the person that was able to help me as well, just to have that person that was kind of rooting for me, if I can say that. I set myself these little tasks to, you know, give myself a compliment every morning, for example, when I look in the mirror. And as I said, at first it's very difficult to kind of hold on to them, but then after a while I actually did start to believe in them and start to actually take them on board. And you know, you carry yourself in a different way when you go out throughout the day. People start complimenting you, and then you start feeling good. When people would ever give me a compliment before, I would actually just be like, oh, okay, thanks. But in my head I'm thinking, why are they saying this? Like, they definitely feel sorry for me. I don't know why they're saying like this to me. But after that, when things started to change, I started to see that when people gave me compliments, I would actually take it and actually just be normal, not awkward about it, and just believe what they were saying. The last thing that I would say is, for me personally, I managed to build a really great relationship with God, and I had such a strong faith that I literally held on to, because that is what also kept me going, is just to know that God is so big, he's so great and amazing, and he can do literally anything that I needed. And I thought, you know what, this is going to be something else that I'm going to be able to do with God's help. And I literally put my faith into that, into myself, into God, and I literally just ran with it and started to actually have just that little bit of faith. Made me believe so much more in myself, so it was so useful to me. Those are the things that I basically did to overcome the depression and suicidal thoughts, and within, I would probably say, a total of like 5 months, 6 months, I was like basically away from it. Like, I didn't want to die anymore, I didn't want to kill myself. I actually found purpose within my life and started to think about my future and things that I would like to do and hobbies that I didn't even think about before. So I started to actually see the things that I was good at and what I could actually bring to, you know, my life. Those are things that I would also suggest if you are going through this, then do that as well. Number one, please make sure you get help and make sure you speak to someone. Even if you don't want to speak to someone that's like a therapist or someone whose job it is to actually give and offer out advice, speak to a friend, speak to someone that you can trust. Even if they don't know what to say because they haven't been through it, just having someone close to you that will be able to listen to you and be that ear that you need, that is all you need to start off. Like, take it in baby steps, go at your own pace, and just know that this process is something that you're going to be able to do. If you're watching this video as well and maybe it doesn't relate directly to you, but you know someone that could benefit from this video, please make sure that you do share it to them, because it could really help someone and even save a life, to be honest. And the last thing I want to say before I wrap up is, if you say, I don't have any friends, I don't have any family at all, I can be that ear for you. So if you just say, look, I need someone to talk to, I am here. Literally hit me up on Instagram and we can go from there. As long as you're getting help and it's going to make you feel better, that's all I care about. So that does bring us to the end of this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you did enjoy it and that you found it useful in some way. please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will be back with another video. Until then, bye.